Good day, everybody. It's the afternoon on the 9th of November, 2024. And where am I at right now? Okay, let me show you. I'll tell you, I'm going to get into something like what you've all might have heard already from Elon Musk. Very, important things. It could be very, very shocking. But let's first tell you, this is the building right here where Lee Harvey Oswald had lived. He's the one that they said assassinated John F. Kennedy. And it's possible that one of those, so I go like this. One of these places up here is his back, and this is a courtyard back here. Maybe that was his back, what do you call it, back window or little balcony. I think he might have a balcony in the front. I'm not really paying attention. Oh, I saw a little kitty. Hang on a second here. I have to see the little kitties. Hey. I don't know, doing some construction here. Let me walk around the front here. Maybe I can show you the front area. But, it's a lot of interesting news going on. And one of them, of course, is Elon Musk. Apparently he was on a telephone conversation with President-elect Donald Trump. Oh, can't even get through here, maybe? President-elect Donald Trump, and I guess when Trump was talking to Vladimir Zelensky. I can't get through there. I'll have to take the long way around. So, anyway, he said, let me see, I even have the quote here. It said, this is about the Ukraine war. He said it's going to be over soon, and don't be so sure about that. And I'll tell you why in a minute, because it's the plan that people are saying that Trump has to end the war. It's like he didn't even talk with Russia yet. Okay, anyway, Elon Musk said the senseless killing will end soon. Time is up for the warmonger profiteers. And I don't know, what does he mean by that? I don't think it means that they're going to lose their money. A lot of them actually will, depending on what Russia does. And it was just a gamble, as you noticed. BlackRock, who is richer than probably any of the 10 richest countries combined. They're worth trillions, I guess, trillions of dollars. So they're very, very, very rich. They might be richer than half of the world combined, all the richest half of the world, by the way. And, a lot of powerful people there, and that's where the money's at. And that's what steers the elections. That's just one thing. And then, of course, there's the Israeli lobby, which, they're only into the billions. But, they place that billion, the millions that they use to buy politicians. I've talked about that before. They place it wisely. So that's one thing. Oh, look at this. I have a friend. He does these repairs, and he might be interested in seeing that somebody else does the same thing here. These people have a little, look at a little pet shop there too, apparently. So anyway, okay. So let's get going here. There was a commentator, and his name was Mario Nawfal. He was one person that was commenting on the supposed plan of Donald Trump, and apparently a lot of the elements of that same thing are in Newsweek. They're in The Guardian from the UK and the Wall Street Journal. And the plan is supposed to be that Trump wants an 800-mile buffer zone between the Ukraine and Russia, and that Russia can keep the territories that they've already gained, and that buffer zone obviously will be on the lands that is presently Ukraine, I would guess. I don't know. They didn't specify. And so, but Ukraine would not be allowed into NATO for 20 years. And what else is besides that? That buffer zone. There'll be a buffer zone. I don't know how wide that buffer zone is going to be. I don't think it really specified. Large enough anyway, but it won't be patrolled by the United States. And of course, it won't be Ukraine or a joint effort between Ukraine and Russia. Sometimes later on, it turns out that it will be that way. That's what happened, obviously, in Georgia. And then when the United States sees it, I talked about it in the last video, and they killed the Russian peacekeepers and invaded South Ossetia. So didn't work too well. But this one is not supposed to be used by the United States. They're not going to be involved in it. Like I said, it's going to be the EU and Great Britain. And when you think about that, it's worse than what was actually there before. When it came around for the Minsk agreements, the Minsk agreements, it's actually kind of a replay, because there's even somebody, I guess, I don't remember who it was. Doesn't really matter. But you hear a lot of talk. You don't really know what is accurate, what's not accurate, and somebody talking out of their backside. But apparently, what they said was, I guess I got to go this way if I'm going to show you the Harvey Oswald place. I got to try to find a place where it's quiet, and a lot of cars. Don't want to see too many people. It's real cold. I call it real cold. It's not like far below zero, but it's below zero apparently right now. Fingers getting a little bit chilly. And talking about a little bit about weather later on too. So anyway, these countries that would be patrolling it are NATO countries. These are NATO countries like France, Germany. It was mentioned Germany, France. Who else? Let me see. Great Britain, of course. NATO countries. And they'll be keeping the peace on the buffer zone. In other words, NATO will be in Ukraine. And that's exactly what Russia's trying not to happen, is to get NATO into Ukraine. And it's pretty obvious, But anyway, this, and think about this, there's one thing. How well does the United States or NATO, any of those countries, how well do they honor their agreements? They sign something, and then whenever it suits their purpose, they just back out of it. Look at the Minsk agreements. Look at that. What was supposed to happen never did happen, and the guarantors of that was supposed to be France and Germany. Of course, the leader of France at the time was Hollande, and the leader of Germany was Merkel, and they've come out and said they lied. They lied. They had no intention of honoring that agreement. Another one that said they didn't have any intention of honoring that was the president of Ukraine. So in other words, they just lied. They signed this agreement, and none of them on the other side had any intention of obeying it. So what's gonna be different about this one? Notwithstanding the fact that it's a very bad agreement for Russia. Russia didn't go into this trying to get more territory. Russia wanted security, obviously, and they said that, and they kept telling the West, they said, we don't want you guys to be on our borders like this. But they just kept on pushing Russia and pushing Russia. Obviously, it was sort of a risk. Let's just see how far we can push them. And that's what's been happening the whole time while they're taking over all these countries and pushing NATO further and further. Maybe Russia wasn't in a position at that time to object to that. And of course, all these countries just went into NATO. And they drew a line and they said, no, not Ukraine. And a lot of analysts, people that really know what they're talking about in the past in the U.S. government, they said, you're not going to take Ukraine. They said, stay out of that. That's pushing Russia too far. And, look what happened. One reason might be, as I said, I guess it's called the Northern Slavs, I guess, or the Belarusians, the Russians, and the Ukrainians are kind of like looked at as one family. And traditionally, Ukraine was never a country. I think it was a country for like 1 year in 1918, and but all throughout the past, they've never been a country, except for maybe after the crash of the Soviet Union not long ago. Young girls looking at me. So they've always been a region, so to speak, of Russia, and apparently Russian history started in Kiev, So, like I said, it's called the Ukraine. It's not called Ukraine. They were always calling it the Ukraine, but surprise. And of course, they act as if they had a seafaring history. And if you were going to school in Ukraine at the moment, I could have left out of that gate. That's the one I was standing in front of. If you were going through the school system in Ukraine, they're telling the children that the ancient Ukrainians dug out the Black Sea with their bare hands, the entire Black Sea. Makes you wonder how many hundred million people they had to dig it out with their bare hands in the ancient times. And of course, notwithstanding, they also said that Jesus was a Ukrainian and that the Ukrainians built the pyramids of Egypt and all that sort of thing. It's incredible stuff. And I'm talking to some people here, and they talk about like believe it or not, it's an alternative history. They're talking about, like, say, Russian history, and that Russia's invading all these countries and they did all of this stuff. And I'm not so sure about that. And maybe Russia will probably, fudge things a little bit on their directions, but obviously the story that you're hearing from people also in Belarus, they're really, really, really fudging it for Ukraine. And like I said, a lot of these people in Ukraine, they're raised to believe that all the problems of Ukraine is because of Russia. Everything bad that has happened ever in Ukrainian history is because of Russia. Russia. And they're teaching some similar things like that in, say, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland, and all that. It's a huge campaign, and as you all know, I've already mentioned it, they're trying to slowly make it look as if Russia is the one that dropped the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and all that. I mean, they're really going overboard on this sort of thing. It's incredible. And maybe they're going to say Adolf Hitler was Russian too at some point in time. I don't know. It's incredible. So let me see, where should I walk? I'll walk up this way. I've never really been that way so much. I don't want to walk with a bunch of people. So maybe there's a different route I can take. So let's talk. What else do we have here? As far as this wait. Zelensky. Oh, Zelensky had a piss plan. But we're talking about a peace plan from the United States. Not a piss plan. It's going to turn out to be a piss plan, but it's projected out to be a peace plan. Peace plan. But what it's going to be, if I didn't mention it already, it's going to be the same as the Minsk agreements. They're going to sign something like this. It's going to be like a ceasefire, temporary ceasefire, which of course Russia is not stupid anymore. They weren't really stupid before. They were trying to be nice this whole time. Through a lot of this recent history since the Soviet Union. And so what the whole plan is supposed to be, and as I said, there was some official saying that they're going to pump Ukraine full of weapons. They're going to train Ukraine, train them, and of course they're trying to reconstitute their military, where a lot of the people are dead right now. I don't know, what are they going to do? They're going to breed full-grown men or something like that to put into the military. Is that going to happen? Because they've killed off already a lot of them. Maybe they're going to train women to fight. And maybe there's a lot of the younger generation right now, so they're going to all be of the right age to use as cannon fodder, as tools and instruments. Europe doesn't seem to mind, but apparently, this buffer zone, what's maybe supposed to happen, and they start to pump things up and put all these soldiers there, that it's supposed to be an automatic way into the war for whatever soldiers are going to be there. Poles, I didn't even mention Poland. Poland is supposed to be the main contingency of this buffer zone and all these people, obviously, to put a bunch of Poles there and then make them become the cannon fodder and get them into the war. There's a lot of people, a lot of the higher ups in Poland, they also want to get into the war. They want a war with Belarus. They want war for any purposes. And as you know, they're trying to build their military as big and as powerful and as fast as possible. The leadership has said they want to supplant Germany as the most powerful military in Europe. So, and that said that a little while ago, a few years ago. I don't know if that was Duda, the president, or if it was the prime minister, which is Donald Tusk. Something to talk about Donald Tusk now too. Very interesting. It was, I think, yesterday, and since now Donald Trump has made president Donald Tusk. No, two Donalds. Oh, Donald Duck. So anyway, Donald Tusk, I guess it was not that long ago, during the election campaign, what did he say about Donald Trump? He said Donald Trump is an agent of Moscow, and that they planted him there 30 years ago, or maybe I don't know if they planted him there or they won him over 30 years ago. He's on record of saying that. And some reporter asked him, this is interesting information. It reminds you of something what happened with Obama. But anyway, some reporter asked him, do you still stand by that, what you said about Donald Trump or something like that? And he said, I never said that. They got it on video. They got it on video, I guess. So what had happened? What happened to that reporter? Well, her credentials are taken away and she's not allowed ever again to be in any of these press conferences. So that's what happened. And I don't know if any of you remember, there was a correspondent, a White House correspondent. I can't remember what magazine. I don't know if it was even that popular, a newspaper. And she was her name was Helen Thomas. And she was like the oldest correspondent, the longest serving press correspondent in U.S. history. And I think she was like 87 or some age like that. Oh gosh, I was going to show you guys Lee Harvey Oswald's place. I don't know exactly which apartment. I guess maybe you can pay and actually go up and see the apartment that he lived in. But anyway, so Helen Thomas, she was there even during the time of John F. Kennedy. And the question she asked Obama, and Obama had her fired, and she'd never be able to ask him any questions ever again. But she asked him, very simple, it was very, very simple. And she said something like, can you think, in a press conference, can you think of any country in the Middle East that possesses nuclear weapons? And I can't remember what Obama's answer was, but anyway, she was gone. But this is the freedom of press, democracy, and all that sort of thing. You all know, because you've been witnessing it yourself, that you're allowed to ask Donald Trump anything. You're even allowed to ask Putin anything. You can ask them anything. Maybe even Lukashenko. Lukashenko has said, you can ask me anything, when he has people interviewing him. I guess maybe the key is not to get some real lunatics, that have, to ask questions that have, a fake news and maybe have a fake view of history. Incredible. There's a lot of that around. There's a lot of them here in Belarus, unfortunately. Unfortunate. But I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people, and I've only heard about the sort of a fake history from one of them, but a really decent person. And a lot of these people, it's like they're intelligent people and all that, very nice, and you can talk to them for the most part one-on-one, and they're not going to get hostile with you and tell you you're stupid because you don't go along with what their opinion is. So I don't have anything against those people, but sadly enough, there's a lot of fake news and fake history and things like that. And for my own part, I'm trying to look into some of the things myself, and it's like, well, where do you get a real true history when you see everybody that writes something there's a bias? And I've got a history book of Russia, and it's going to be a long time before I can even start reading it. So, and it's supposed to be much less biased, and it's somebody from Russia that, I don't know if you can say what, defected? Well, actually he didn't. It was his father that defected to the United States. So I don't really know what his real opinion about Russia is. So if the history is going to be accurate or not. But if his father was a dissident, his father would have been probably telling him a lot of negative things. But I'm hoping that it's going to be anyways, I think it's what was this, Nicholas Rizanovsky. And I guess he was a professor. You guys can look that one up yourself. I would try to avoid the later editions. I think it's in the 9th edition right now, because apparently they're putting a lot of wokeism in there, and something about, I don't know, maybe that some women were the ones that actually did everything right, or I don't have any idea. And I think he's dead, of course, and there's somebody else that's actually, he had a partner writer afterwards, and then I think that writer is the one maybe that's doing the new editions to it. So, and I'm not even sure. I got to really look at the edition that I have. I think it's a 6th edition. So I got to find out, did Rizanovsky write that, or did the other guy write it? Or if they were both alive and writing it, then I would take that as being fine and dandy. Just don't want to, like, if somebody else, you don't know what their opinion is, and it's like you're reading a book that's not really their original author's writing. So enough said about that. So, anyway, here we are. It's got a nice little area that Lee Harvey Oswald had. Just walking through the leaves here if you're hearing this noise. And this is Oh, let's see in the background. If you look up there, I'll get a little closer. First, I'll tell you, this is the building old Lee Harvey Oswald was living in. So, I'm not quite sure. I believe he had a window that looked out over this area right here. Let me get over here towards Victory Square. Believe it or not, it used to be Circle Square. If you go into the metro underneath, it goes into a complete circle. So you can walk you can walk in a complete circle. So, was I talking about somebody? Oh, a guy named Mario Naufel. I probably was starting to talk about it, and I got sidetracked. But he was the one talking about this buffer zone and, about the territory. If I didn't say that, and I also mentioned that the magazines, Wall Street Journal, all that sort of stuff, that's not going to work, as you all know. So, yes, indeed. But there was also a quote or something like trying to get all these European countries to take over, be in charge of this buffer zone by the barrel of a gun, somebody had said. And it's actually just a way to make sure that when they are ready to start the new war, that already there's going to be these other countries involved in it. So, and even though, and I'll tell you what, it's not going to be, if first Russia's not going to go for this. If they did, and if, the war would not be in 20 years, the war would be only after Donald Trump's presidency. So Donald Trump wants to get the credit for, obviously, for ending the war, at least that war. But after his presidency is probably when a war would begin, because there's like a lot of people, say Lindsey Graham for one, and they say he's even come right out and admitted. That's one thing about Lindsey Graham. He's a dastardly, nasty guy, and he at least is not afraid to show it. So he said they want to get over there and get trillions of dollars of the resources, basically rape Ukraine. Apparently Ukraine is fine with that. At least the leadership of Ukraine, Zelensky. Oh, yeah, we're fine with that. Just come and take everything. Give us a couple pennies and things back and forth. And in exchange, since we're Nazis, in truth, we just want to kill the Russians, not the Jews. The Russians. Well, we're going to kill the Jews too. Well, I'm Jewish. Oh, how does that work? All this stuff is kind of confusing anyway. So anyway, that's the Victory Monument back there in the background. The school I go to is not far from here. It's down the road over there. So it's very possible that Lee Harvey Oswald went to the same school, but I don't know. So let's go over here. It's a little bit, there's somebody sitting on the bench over there. Damn them anyway. So anyway, talked about this war and, the future war, the war that's going on now. And obviously, I think it was Trump and even Elon Musk, we got to stop the killing. But, but what about Palestine? There's a lot more killing going on there. More killing. And of course, particularly children. But they're brown-skinned Palestinians. They don't matter. They don't matter. Well, we're just going to ignore that that's even happening. So look the other way. Don't pay any attention to that man behind the curtain, which is a bunch of people dying. I don't really give a crap on what color their skin is or their religion and all that. Oh, man. And just as a side note, I met somebody not long ago. Seems like a really decent guy. All that sort of thing. And I'm talking to him a little bit. He's supposed to be this very, very, very devout Christian. And he's not from Belarus, I should tell you. But even though he's an Orthodox Christian, and I was mentioning something about, he's happy that really happy that Donald Trump won. And, and I guess he's really happy, I think, because he wants apparently to see, this is very strange, that, and he thinks that that's great that the Muslims are getting killed. And then I'm thinking, I wanted to tell him, but he didn't really want to listen to anything I said anyway, because I was just trying to say, well, it's very, very, very calmly, not being accusatory or anything, trying to, and I just said, Jesus is great. And I think I was saying that the Muslims like Jesus too, and of course he didn't like that at all. And this guy's supposed to be a lot more knowledgeable about the Bible and all that than I am, by far, And what I would have gotten into is I would have said, well, what sets Jesus apart? Matter of fact, it's weird. I was talking about religion and Christianity right in the same place in one other video. But I said, well, what sets Jesus apart from all the rest of us, all humanity, basically? What makes Jesus different? And actually, in my opinion, and most people's, what is a better quality of Jesus than all the rest of us possess? You know, I would have said this to him, and I would have said tolerance. Jesus is probably the most tolerant being that has ever walked the face of the earth. And you know, somebody that wants to hate Muslims and kill Muslims, I don't know, does that show any kind of tolerance? Anyway, that was just the point I was trying to make. Enough of that, though. Enough of that, you know. And I thought Christians were supposed to emulate Jesus. So, okay. Oh, Zelensky. As I told you in the last video, there was a conference, and it's in Budapest. And what was the name of it? It's called the Political Community Conference. What a strange name. It was the 7th and the 8th. And a lot of people never even mentioned it. Some people still don't mention it. But Zelensky apparently was there, and he was basically saying that the frozen assets that in truth belong to Russia. There's a Russian frozen assets, 300 billion, which are in the European Union. And Zelensky is saying, that's our money, that's our money. And the estimated value of, or the cost of destruction that the Russians, by invading unprovoked into Ukraine, is 800 billion. So that 300 billion is our money. It's our money. It's Ukraine's money. In other words, you know Zelensky, give me money, give me money. You know, there's a Russian video, die, 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 die. That means give, give, give. Yeah, die, die, die. They showed Zelensky and hundreds of Zelenskys, die, 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 give, give. You know, give me money, give me money. And so, give me weapons, give me money. And so he's saying, it's our money, give it to us. So that's one thing. And then there was also Ursula von der Leyen. She, of course, made an appearance there. And so these people are all crazy. Ursula von der Leyen, what did she say? She was saying, she at least finally admitted that Russia is getting, that the European Union is getting energy from Russia. I think she was specifying liquid natural gas, LNG. And she said, yes, we're still getting this from Russia, and then we have to stop it completely. And instead, we have to buy this from the United States, and it's cheaper. It's like, what the crap, you know? Well, if it was cheaper, you would have been buying it a lot earlier. And it's not only much more expensive, I guess it's maybe around triple the cost of what even LNG maybe is from Russia. You know, and the logistics, shipping it. And as a matter of fact, they don't even need to use liquid natural gas, because one of the lines from the Nord Stream 2 is still intact. And Olaf Scholz just refuses to turn it on. And it would be much cheaper than even that liquid natural gas. Talk about the world. These people are so crazy. And, they'd rather lose money, I guess, than the deindustrialization of Germany. And as you know, I just mentioned it in the last video, the collapse of Germany, the political union of the traffic light coalition. And it's just like I said, a lot of it has come out now, since I said it in the last video anyway, that Christian Lindner was actually the one that was talking a lot more sense. So he got fired, because we don't want any good advice or not any common sense coming around here. Get the heck out of here, buddy. So anyway, that's the end of that. Germany's economy is actually already collapsed. So this is all, they're running on gas fumes anyway. So I don't know, do I have any more to talk about? Let's see, I wrote some things down. Let's see. Israel, always, you got to talk about Israel. They're continuing to bomb and kill Lebanon and Gaza. Diseases and things are floating around now in Gaza. More children. Everybody's got their eyes on other things. Like I said, they're looking at Donald Trump, what's going to happen here and there. And under cover of that news, Israel's just getting away with lots more murder and destruction. And, it's really sad things, people. So anyway, that's how everything stands right now. I should end this video. Don't know. I should look on my card. I don't think there was anything else really that important. talk about. As a matter of fact, I do have two cards here. 300 billion. Talked about that. Well, anyway, that's about it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still waiting for the reaction of Russia on this peace plan. I mean, the peace plan. So, anyhow, thanks for joining me, everybody. And like again, I wasn't going to make a video, but this was so important what I heard. But so, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.